calling for freedom from the campus of their university in the Iranian city of Zanjan. Across the country, universities and schools have become sites of mass protests, many of them led by female students. Reports of plainclothes police being deployed to campuses have stirred concerns of a further lethal crackdown against young, peaceful protesters. President Ebrahim Raisi admitted to what he called certain shortcomings in the country, but the Iranian leader still stuck to the official line.
The enemy is aiming to reduce our social capital. It wants the people to lose hope, and it wants to exaggerate our weaknesses and shortcomings. We don't deny weaknesses and shortcomings.
Raisi echoed claims made earlier by Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He had accused enemies of Iran, the US and Israel, of fueling protests to destabilize the country. Khamenei has refused to acknowledge widespread opposition to his religious government. Activists say he is simply trying to silence internal dissent.
The current government in Iran has built the power on lies and on killing people. Of course, they should stop the violence. They should stop killing people. They should stop imprisoning people. And they should listen to people. People say it clearly all over the country since so many decades. They don't want a religious government.
Despite the violent suppression that has so far killed dozens, protests have shown no signs of dying down.
Now, where President Ebrahim Raisi has called for national unity in the face of ongoing anti-government protests in the country. Raisi blamed the unrest on the U.S. and Israel, echoing comments by Iran's supreme leader. Anti-government demonstrations continue to spread to universities and high schools across Iran. The protests began after the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini following her arrest for allegedly violating the Islamic Republic's strict dress code. Meanwhile, people are taking to the streets to show their support.
Europeans have come out in solidarity for women leading the fight for justice in Iran. Here in Paris over the weekend, thousands rallied to support Iranians facing a brutal regime at home. European Parliament President Metsola echoed their message, paying tribute to women who gave everything in their fight.
We are with you. Mahsa Amini will be remembered just like Hadis, Minou, Azaleh, Hananeh, Hayedeh, Mahsa, Norka, and many, many others, for women, for life, for liberty.
Across party lines, European lawmakers are showing their support.
It's totally unacceptable in 21st century to accept that one woman can be killed for defending their own rights.
Solidarity matters, but words won't be enough, says the EP's guest of honor, French-Iranian sociology professor Azadekian.
I think that the EU should take really measures to show the Iranian regime that democratic societies and democratic regimes are supporting the plight of Iranian people for democracy and for freedom.
The European Union's top diplomat, Josep Borrell, said the EU will continue to consider all the options at its disposal. Ahead of his speech, some member states have been more precise. EU countries are preparing action against Tehran. Germany, France, and others have submitted proposals for EU sanctions against members of the Iranian regime. This includes travel bans and asset freezes. The Iranian government has silenced protests before, and external actions have done little to stop this. Swedish MEP Alice Bah Kuhnke says the EU should not repeat past mistakes when ramping up pressure on Iran.
The most important thing is that we are very aware of that the sanctions risk to make the Iranian people suffer even more. So we need to make sure that the sanctions in the toolbox are pointed at the regime, at the people responsible for the violence, the killing, at the moral police, and at those people high in power.
Sanctions are for the member states to decide, but the majority in parliament seem determined to send a strong signal to help make this happen.
And about this, we can now speak to Siba Shakib. She's an Iranian filmmaker, writer, and political activist, and joins us from Italy. Hello, thanks for joining us on DW. EU lawmakers underlining their solidarity with the protesters. Targeted sanctions are now on the table. Is that enough?
No, it's not enough. Good evening. The EU has a very big interest, for instance, and this is just one example, in Iran not to become a nuclear power. If the EU is really interested in Iran not having nuclear weapons, they should stop talking to these people, and they should talk to people who want democracy, who want freedom, who want equal rights in Iran. And you can be sure that Iran will not have nuclear power. People who now kill their own people in Iran, the government, the representatives of the government, have daughters in the US, in Europe, in Germany, in Italy. They study, they are models, they are wearing no hijab, they are wearing modern clothes, they show skin, they show hair. Why can these people still be outside and live their lives while their fathers are killing daughters of other people in Iran? There are so many measurements. We can close embassies. We can get the ambassadors and the consuls to be able to do the work that they are doing in all the countries in the world. So many things can be done. Sanction is not the only and not the best solution.
Right. Crackdown has been fierce on the protests, but those out on the streets are not deterred. Where does that resilience and defiance come from?
Part of it is because it was just one drop too many. A girl, 22 years old, a Kurdish girl, Jina, known as Masi Amini, killed because she's showing a little bit of hair. I mean, how dangerous is hair that you have to kill a person for that? It was just that one drop that was too many. And then, of course, a lot of the power comes from the fact that so many women and girls take the streets and they are leading the demonstrations. And I think it's worldwide. There is nothing, there has never been anything like this. And another factor that supports the women is indeed the solidarity from outside. Programs like yours, for instance, not stopping to send the message out what's happening in Iran, support the women and encourages them to go on and risk their life and everything.
It is, for all intents and purposes, very remarkable what is happening in Iran, and the courage is admirable. But how much of a threat do the protests really pose to the country's leadership?
I think everything. I think everything is possible. I think this can topple the regime in Iran if the support from the world does not stop, and the people in Iran have the feeling that once the regime is toppled, they get the help from foreign countries, and foreign countries will support them. I think this can go on to the end, and I'm very, very, very full of fear, and I'm full of hope, because both is possible. Nobody can say it goes definitely this direction or that direction. Thousands and thousands of people have been killed in the past 44 years by the government.
Siba Shakib, thank you so much for your time and your view on what is happening in Iran, in your home country.
Thank you.